There's a poison flowing through your veins right now. You can't see it, you can't taste it. But it's there. Every time someone talks down to you, they inject a little more venom into your soul. And the worst part, you're letting them do it. When someone condescends to you, they're not just being rude, they're declaring war on your mind. This is psychological warfare at its most insidious level. They're positioning themselves above you in the social hierarchy. And you're accepting that position. Each passive response you give is training them to see you as weak. You're literally teaching the world that your dignity has no value. But here's what they don't want you to understand. This dynamic only exists because you allow it. Every condescending remark is actually a test of your boundaries. And right now, you're failing that test spectacularly. The poison spreads through your self-worth, your confidence, your very sense of who you are. But what if I told you that Machiavelli had a different approach? What if there was a way to turn their condescension into your weapon? If you're finding value in this, hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Building on what we covered, there's a weapon they never see coming. The Machiavellian mirror. It requires no words, no confrontation, just your ability to reflect their poison back at them through pure body language. When they talk down to you, your posture doesn't shrink, it expands. Your shoulders square. Your spine straightens. You become a wall. But here's where the psychology gets deadly. You match their energy exactly. If they lean forward to intimidate, you lean back. If they raise their voice, yours drops to a whisper. You become their perfect opposite. Their psychological mirror. This forces them to confront their own behavior, in real time. But the real power lies in your silence. Controlled indifference that cuts deeper than any insult ever could. They scramble for your reaction, your validation, your fear. But you give them nothing. Absolutely nothing. And in that void they start questioning everything about themselves. Now comes the moment of truth. The art of intellectual assassination. This is where we transform their arrogance into their downfall. The weapon. Questions. Sharp, precise, and devastatingly effective. When someone talks down to you, they expose a critical weakness. They assume you know less. They assume they're untouchable. This assumption becomes their prison, and you hold the key. Start with innocent curiosity. Make them explain their position deeper. Each question forces them further into territory they don't actually understand. This is Socrates weaponized. Philosophy turned into psychological warfare. Watch them stumble. Watch them contradict themselves. The beauty is they're destroying their own credibility with every answer. You never attack directly. You simply guide them toward their own ignorance. They hang themselves with their own words. You just provide the rope. Building on what we've covered, there's something even more powerful than clever comebacks or intellectual dismantling. It's the ability to control the entire frame of the conversation itself. When someone talks down to you, they're not just attacking your ideas, they're trying to establish dominance over reality itself. But here's what Machiavelli understood. Context is everything. And you control it. The first technique is conversational reframing. They say you're inexperienced, you're fresh and innovative. They call you aggressive, you're decisive and action-oriented. Every negative becomes your positive. But the real mastery comes from controlling the conversation's foundation. You decide what the conversation is really about. Not them. They want to discuss your failures. You redirect to discuss their fear of change. They want to talk about your mistakes. You make it about their inability to adapt. This isn't about winning arguments. It's about defining the entire playing field. When you control the frame, their attacks become irrelevant noise. They're playing checkers in a game where you've already moved to chess. But we're not done yet. There's one final weapon that will make you completely untouchable. Now we enter the most dangerous territory. The nuclear option. When someone has pushed you too far, there comes a moment for total war. Public humiliation is not revenge. It's surgical precision. It's the calculated destruction of someone's social armor in front of witnesses. But timing is everything. Strike too early, and you appear petty. Strike too late, and the moment passes into irrelevance. The perfect moment arrives when their arrogance reaches its peak. When they're most confident, most exposed, most vulnerable, you wait, you watch, you let them build their house of cards higher and higher, until gravity becomes inevitable. The weapon is their own words, their contradictions, their hypocrisy. You become an archaeologist of their failures. Document everything: screenshots, recordings, witnesses. Build your arsenal methodically, like a prosecutor preparing for trial. Then comes the moment. In front of their peers, their superiors, their audience, you don't attack. You simply present. You quote them verbatim. You show their contradictions. You let their own arrogance hang them with their own rope. The beauty is in your composure. While they scramble, deflect and rage, you remain calm, unshakable, factual. Their credibility crumbles in real time. Every excuse makes them look weaker. Every justification digs the hole deeper. The witnesses remember. They spread the story. Your tormentor's reputation becomes permanently stained in the social fabric. But remember this: the nuclear option burns. Now we reach the final transformation, the moment you become untouchable. Building on everything we've covered, you now understand the game. But understanding is not enough. True power isn't about reacting to disrespect. It's about preventing it entirely. People sense power before you even speak. It radiates from your posture, your silence, your presence. This aura of untouchability isn't built overnight. It's forged through consistent psychological discipline. Every slight you've absorbed, every condescension you've endured, becomes material for your armor. This psychological armor deflects attacks before they land. Insults bounce off like raindrops. When someone attempts to talk down to you, they feel the resistance immediately. Your calm confidence creates an invisible barrier. They sense they're dealing with someone different. This is the paradox of true power. The less you need to use it, the more you possess it. People begin to treat you with automatic respect. Not from fear, but from recognition. They recognize they're in the presence of someone who has mastered themselves completely. This is your final transformation. From victim to strategist, to untouchable force. You never have to defend yourself again, because attacks simply cannot reach you. If this opened your eyes, smash that like button and subscribe for more.